Eric Holder and whether this is Eric Holder's legacy or whether this is just Eric Holder doing something that he thinks is right, or whether this I don't know if this is a change in position for this administration, but he is pointing out that we have states in the United States, and it's not all of the states, but it's a bunch of them, where it's maybe let's see, in Florida, Iowa, and Kentucky. All felons lose all their rights to vote, and then in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama, some felons lose their right to vote, and then in New York, California, Colorado, et cetera, once you're on probation, you can vote, and parolees can vote in most of the rest of the country. It's kind of a mishmash. And so Eric Holder is saying, and he points out, I mean, this is from their news release. States like Florida, Kentucky, and Virginia, as many as 1 in 5 black adults have been stripped of voting rights. He said, it's time, this is a quote from Eric Holder himself. He said, the Attorney General of the United States of America, he says, it is time to fundamentally rethink laws that permanently disenfranchise people who are no longer under federal or state supervision. These restrictions are not only unnecessary and unjust, they are also counterproductive. By perpetuating the stigma and isolation imposed on formerly incarcerated individuals, these laws increase the likelihood that they will commit future crimes. At worst, these laws, with a disparate impact on minority communities, echo policies enacted during a deeply troubled period in America's past, a time of post-Civil War discrimination. And they have their roots in centuries-old conceptions of justice that were too often based on exclusion, animus, and fear. So Eric Holder, of course, himself, African-Americans, speaking about the impact of that on African-Americans. Horace Cooper is himself African-American and a conservative commentator and an attorney, a commentator and senior fellow with the National Center for Public Policy Research, nationalcenter.org. And Horace, welcome back to the program.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah. I'm curious your thoughts on this. It seems that the conservative position, I mean, historically, conservatives have been all about, like David Vitter, after he got busted with a hooker, he apologized, he promised never to do it again, he confessed his sins, and he got a standing ovation from his conservative colleagues, the Republicans in the United States Senate, when he walked back into the Senate chamber after that. Now he's running for governor. It seems like the conservative position is to say, you've paid your debt to society, you have paid your price, you've served your time, you've been through probation, you are now embraced back by society again. Would it not be?
I think that's generally true. I'm just not clear on the example that you use of what prison was Senator Vitter assigned to, and how long did he serve, and when would...
Well, that's one of the things. He was a rich, powerful white guy, so he never was prosecuted. But he did confess to a crime. He did confess to the crime.
O.J. Simpson was a rich, powerful black guy, but he was prosecuted, but he managed to beat the charge, too. And were he to have kept his nose clean instead of engaging in future criminality, he would have been allowed to go forward.
Well, did you just say Bill Clinton?
Holder. No, I said O.J. Simpson.
Oh, O.J. Simpson. Oh, yeah. Well, he had to deal with a civil lawsuit. And
I think it's divisive, and I think it's intended to create the false impression that the criminal justice system actually singles out minorities for treatment that's unfair.
Well, apropos, Horace, if I may interrupt you for a second for an actual thoughtful conversation here. You mentioned O.J. Simpson, and I don't know if you're familiar with the book, When the Irish Became White. But,
I'm not, sorry.
Okay, well, the basic premise of the book, and I think it's a really fascinating anthropological, sociological analysis, is that, quote, whiteness in America has been defined a whole lot of different ways over the years, and there were long periods in American history where Irish were not considered white, where Jews were not considered white, where Catholics were not considered white, where poor people were not considered white. That white really was a socioeconomic designation, not as much a racial designation. During the 1890s, the Italian immigrants were not considered white. So O.J. Simpson, being very wealthy, might be considered, if you put it through a purely socioeconomic lens, part of that white class, in quotes, that used to be all about race, that now is more about class and income. What do you think?
that's an interesting insight. What I find most attractive about it is that it demonstrates that the actual pigment isn't necessarily going to be the determinative factor of your status in American society. But I think Mr. Holder's idea of pursuing this as if this is the big problem facing our nation is designed more to energize disaffected groups into thinking that there's this unjust system in operation. And if we can set aside the so-called war on drugs and talk about felony prosecutions in general, that's rape, that's robbery, that's breaking and entering with a value loss of a couple $1,000s. There are a couple of jurisdictions where that's as little as $250, but in most of them it's over a few $1,000s in damage. When one looks at this, you'd have to be arguing that the police simply are uninterested in felonious behavior on the part of the white elites.
Well, that's true if you look at drug arrest statistics.
Pardon me?
If you look at drug arrest statistics, whites and African Americans, whites are more likely to use pot than African Americans, but African Americans are 8 times more likely to get arrested for it.
Yeah, I said let's set aside the war on drugs. I think that takes us down a rabbit hole. I'm just talking about felony activity in general.
Okay.
And in order to get a felony drug arrest, the amount has to be actually significantly high. So, but
depending
you don't
on the state.
have to do that for. It depends on the state. That's true. But you don't have to do that with regard to breaking and entering, or robbery, or rape, or other kinds.
No, I got Horace. Pardon my interrupting you, but I just got a 1-minute cue from Shane. We have hard breaks. In this minute we have left, what should we do with people after they paid their debt to society? Should we let them vote or not?
Well, it depends on the state. I have no problem with a petition basis, and I have no problem with a system that says in this state they'll let you automatically do it. I guess I do have a problem with places like Vermont that let you vote even absentee even while sitting in the prison.
Why? You're still a member of society.
But yet your actions demonstrate that you didn't appreciate that.
Right, but you're paying your price.
Some of these places, people pay their price. Others of these places, there's a lengthy timeout. And
I think Vermont might do that because Matthew Lyon John Adams sent Matthew Lyon to jail, and he sat in a Vermont jail cell and ran and successfully for re-election in the election of 1800. I don't know. Horace Cooper, it's always an interesting conversation. Nationalcenter.org is the website. Horace, thanks for being with us today.